Hey, it's Shane from GotRom.com. This video is about how to fix shoulder pain for gym rats. Stay tuned. So if you're a serious gym-going athlete, it's possible that you've experienced one or all of the following. Pain in the front of your shoulders during, say, bench press, muscle-ups, dips, push-ups, etc. Pain when you put your arms overhead during pull-ups, handstands, overhead press, and more. And this shoulder pain that you get when you're lifting weights can stop you dead in your tracks. And if not treated, they can turn into chronic issues. Fortunately, in this video, I'm going to show you a few simple exercises you can do at home or in the gym to help your shoulder pain. But before we jump right into the exercises, we have to dig a little bit deeper, because if you don't take care of the root cause of shoulder pain, it's going to keep coming back again and again. Why do you get shoulder pain in the first place, and why are shoulders so easy to re-injure? During the large ranges of motion and strength movements required in weightlifting, things can go wrong, especially if you're lacking full range of motion. In simple terms, you get pain and impingement because you end up ramming the soft tissues up against the hard tissues, and this pisses everything off. Once this happens, shoulders are notoriously prone to re-injury. One basic reason is that there is not a lot of space in certain parts of the shoulder. For example, subacromial impingement occurs when the subacromial space is narrowed and the soft tissue gets compressed, injured, and inflamed. Due to this lack of space and the impingement that occurs, an inflammation starts. And once something is inflamed, it's easy to get re-inflamed. If you've had this happen, you are frustratingly familiar with this cycle of re-injury. And when this condition lingers further, it can even progress to more damage in the tissue, which is called tendinosis, when it becomes a long-term condition. So it's essential to address the root causes if you want to fix the issue for good. So what are the root causes? Pain is a complex topic, so it's impossible to give one answer. It can be biomechanical, it can be anatomical, structural, postural, movement-related, or even related to your lifestyle, nutrition, and recovery. Actually, all of these are factors. Your bony morphology, your mobility, your posture habits, your sleep habits, your sitting habits, your nutrition habits, and even what's going on inside your head, aka your psychology. However, the number one problem for the vast majority of people is flexibility and mobility. It's a range of motion and flexibility issue. If you've been lifting weights for any period of time, I'm going to assume that you already know some basic strengthening exercises, things like band pull-aparts, rotator cuff strengthening exercises. So we're going to set those aside and focus on mobility and flexibility exercises to help you fix your shoulder pain. So what causes bad shoulder mobility? As with pain, there's no single cause of bad shoulder mobility. Typically, it's a combination of posture, anatomy, soft tissue quality, and range of motion. Specifically, these factors influence your shoulder range of motion. Your acromion process morphology, or the shape, which can be type 1, 2, or 3, the glenohumeral and scapula position and the motor control that you have during movement, aka your technique, your thoracic spine posture, the density or shortness in the pecs, delts, lats, or other structures of the shoulders, aka your muscles, and even neck musculature tightness, especially the scalenes and the first rib motion. Sounds pretty complicated, huh? Well, sort of. I personally like to boil everything down into layman's terms. So why your shoulder mobility sucks is basically your posture sucks and your muscles are too dense and too tight. How did it get this way? How did a joint that's designed to be super mobile become stiff and tight? If you look around at the world we live in, sitting for 8+ hours a day since childhood, and then sitting in grade school, middle school, high school, college, sitting for work, sitting while driving, sitting while watching the television, how could we not have tight, injury-prone shoulders? Most people have been slowly losing shoulder range of motion at an insidiously slow pace since childhood. It's usually in your 20s, 30s, or 40s when the sleeping volcano that is your lack of range of motion in your thoracic, glenohumeral, and scapular region starts to rear its ugly head. The good news is you can reverse this trend, often dramatically if you learn the right approach. After all, I did it, and 20,000 students who have been using my programs around the world have done it, so you can too. So here are 3 exercises that you can use right now to start freeing up and mobilizing your shoulders so you can be pain-free, flexible, and strong in the gym. Another major area that gets junked up, for lack of a better word, is your
posterior deltoid rotator cuff area. So for that, again, we're gonna travel to the ground here. Go on your side, lacrosse ball on the back of this shoulder joint, your shoulder behind, your hand behind your head, and you're going to scrub across that posterior deltoid. This is super, super intense in the beginning for most people, so if you can't kind of have all of your body weight balanced on the ball like this, you can kind of put your elbow on the ground or find some way of easing the pressure a little bit. But you want to get to the point where your tissues are so normal and healthy that they can take all this pressure, all of my body weight basically on that spot, and I'm scrubbing and I'm not freaking out. So work on that. If you have a barbell in a gym, you can lock yourself in, hands on top of the barbell, hands on top of the barbell, lift yourself up. Try to not have your shoulders rounded forward like this. So try to lift yourself up, open the chest, maybe a soft bend in the elbows, and then drop down. Now you're getting a lot bigger stretch than you get in most other ones. Breathe, relax. If you want to emphasize one side or the other, you can kind of turn into it, turn away. That'll get one pec or the other. This also is really applicable to the skin the cat movement that a lot of calisthenics athletes do. So skin the cat will be improved by this. The next thing to do is, if you hang from the bars a lot, you can use that as a basic stretch. So you're just hanging from the bar. You can sway your body side to side. And one thing that I like to do is let my feet rest on the ground and let the side of my body be kind of like a big rainbow. So if you see the side of my body, there should be a curvature here, which is gonna stretch the lats. This goes a little bit beyond just hanging from the bar, which is good shoulder mobility exercise. But now with this, you're gonna target the lats a little bit more. So hunt around.
If you know you have tight shoulders but you don't have any pain, congratulations, but let's dig a little deeper. Before you start celebrating, be aware that your body might be compensating away from your tight shoulders and hurting another area of your body. One comical example is when my big buff athletes who can barely put their arms over their head will brag to me about how they never had any shoulder pain. That's great, I say. How are your elbows doing? How's your low back doing? Usually this is met with a blank stare. And then gradually, as I explain things, the light dawns on them. Learning that pain doesn't manifest always in the area where you are tight is a vitally important lesson for all athletes to learn. Think about it. Your body's #1 goal is to keep you moving at all costs. Imagine being on the Great Plains of Africa millions of years ago, and imagine experiencing a stubbed toe. If your body wasn't able to adapt, aka compensate, and use other muscles and movement patterns to hobble around, you would be lion food. The human body is an amazing compensation machine. It will get the job done and keep you moving even if it has to slowly sacrifice more and more other joints in the process. As a modern day gym-going athlete, that means your body will sacrifice your elbows to help you swing into your bar muscle-ups. You'll get a tight, achy back when doing back bridges because your shoulders are too tight and your low back is compensating as a response. Your shoulders won't move well when you do muscle-ups or dips, and so your elbows will start to hurt. The take-home message is this: tight shoulders can lead to achy elbows and injured backs. So the bottom line is, even if you don't have pain, if you know you're lacking range of motion in your shoulders, get to work on it before this tightness becomes a problem in another area. Here's the key things that I want you to remember from this video. The magic is in the tissue work plus the stretching plus learning how to move better. Try all of the exercises, even if you've seen something similar before. Keep working on the tissue until you've made a noticeable change, aka less pain, better tissue texture, etc. 2 minutes per area is the minimum. Stretch for a minimum of 1 to 2 minutes. 2 is better if you're new to stretching. Alternate techniques, aka use breathing and relaxing or contracting, relaxing. And always make sure to retest your range of motion in some movement that you want to improve. Could be your pull-ups, your overhead presses, your bench presses, your muscle-ups, any movement that you're trying to improve. Test it before and after you do the mobility work, and you'll find that the mobility work made it more comfortable, more pain-free, and maybe even stronger. These before and afters are important to see how you're improving. To test your range of motion, 2 of my favorite movements are the back bridge to test your shoulder flexion range of motion, or bench press, dips, or deep push-ups to test your shoulder extension range of motion. Ultimately, the best test of your progress is testing the movements that you care about, whatever they are in the gym. The important thing is that you test before the mobility and then after the mobility. And what you're looking for is simple. There are 2 basic signs of progress. It hurts less and you move better. Try the exercises that you learned above for the next 3 to 4 weeks. They can fit right into your existing strength training routine as a superset to what you're already doing. It doesn't have to take up any more time. But ultimately, in the long run, you're going to want a more comprehensive mobility routine for not just your shoulders, but your whole body. Strength training is one of the most rewarding physical activities that you can engage in. It's also one of the most demanding activities that you can engage in because it requires a high degree of strength plus flexibility plus motor control. If you find yourself coming up against a shoulder issue, step off the gas pedal, focus on regaining some lost mobility, and remember the goal is to be a lifelong pain-free, healthy athlete. Don't sacrifice short-term goals for long-term health. If you find you've got a long way to go mobility-wise, just remember other people have been in the same situation and they've come out on top, myself included. If one man or one woman can do it, so can you. Be patient, be persistent, and be better, and I'll see you in the next video.